no one wants to have to come into work and say, my employer has given me a job to do, but I am uncertain of how to do it. That's that's the worst feeling ever.
Welcome to the Manufacturing Transformed podcast, where we dive deep into the world of manufacturing and uncover the transformational journeys of companies that are powered by ProShop. Get ready to explore the stories behind the machines, the people, and the innovation shaping the future of this industry. Welcome to Manufacturing Transformed. Real shops, real stories.
Well, hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of Manufacturing Transformed. Today is a different kind of a day and a different kind of a podcast. Well, maybe not so much for Manufacturing Transformed, but I got to sit down with Alex from Archer Precision up in Ottawa and had an incredible conversation. And you can probably see from the length of this podcast that it's quite a bit longer than our typical ones. We actually wrapped up about an hour in, and then as we were just kind of chatting afterwards, he started sharing just some really profound stuff that I thought was so important. So we actually hit record again, and we pieced it in to the show. Thank you, Dustin, for the editing work. But I'm just in love with this episode. Alex and the way he's building his company there is just so virtuous. It's such a model for, I think, how all machine shops, quite honestly, should be built. Really rooted in foundationally in processes, systems, and people. And just the way he describes it all. And then at the end, we get into workforce development and what they're doing there and how that ties in. I love it. So enjoy this episode. And you will notice at the very end, if you're also a listener of Machine Shop Mastery, I've decided, because I can, that this episode is also going to be published on Machine Shop Mastery because there's so much gold in it that's more just foundational about how to build a shop. So this is the first time I've ever decided to do this, but we're going to go for it. And it's just a great episode. So enjoy it. And thanks for putting in the time, because I know it's a long one, but it's a good one. So enjoy this conversation with Alex. Alex, welcome to the show. It's good to see you here.
Thank you very much, Paul. It's great to be with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, well, let's start by let's start by giving a snapshot of what Archer Precision looks like, what you specialize in, your approximate size, and then we'll go back a little bit and talk about your personal background, how you got into the business.
Absolutely. So, Archer Precision is a precision machining company, and we focus primarily in 5-axis milling. That's our main focus in what we do. We obviously do turning and regular 3-axis milling as well, but our main focus is in 5-axis milling. And we service military, medical, and aerospace, as well as some mining companies as well. So those are the main sectors that really drive us.
Hmm.
As far as our size, we fluctuate between 16 to 18 people,
Okay.
and we're in about 6,000 square foot facility.
Okay. And it's up in Ottawa, is that right?
That's right. It's in Ottawa, the nation's capital, and definitely a little bit of a different manufacturing atmosphere up here. And we were probably one of the medium-sized shops in the area. We're not the biggest by any stretch,
Sure.
but probably not the smallest. We're very comfortably in the middle.
Okay. And you are AS 9100, ISO 9001, and 1345 certified, as well as the Canada's CGD program.
Correct. That's right.
Okay. Okay. And do you serve just the Canadian military, or do you serve U.S. military as well?
No, we actually serve militaries all over the world. So
Oh, okay.
Canada is probably our smallest sector that we would, or our
Oh,
smallest military client that we would service. The U.S.
okay.
and Europe are our main ones. So
Okay. Cool.
yeah,
All right. And looks like from your website, looks like it started in around 2011.
that's right. Yeah, that's an interesting story.
Yeah,
So
let's hear it.
okay, well, tool and die maker by trade. So I actually got my ticket in Southern Ontario doing tool and die work, building dies for the automotive sector, and
Hmm.
moved to Ottawa early 2000s. Got married and started working at a machine shop called Globus Precision. and worked through most of the positions in that company over the next few years until 2010, 2011 came around, and the owner of Globus at the time had some health issues and was looking to exit the company. So he approached me and asked if I would be interested in purchasing Globus Precision, and we worked out a really very good deal for me. It was he was very kind, and on November 11th we started Arch Precision. November 11th, 2011.
Oh, I love it. I'm
Yeah,
a fan of 1111s. All. Did you sign the paperwork at 11:11 a.m.?
I don't think we did. No, no, we
Oh man, that would have been perfect.
did. Yeah,
Okay, and so you renamed it then to Archer.
yeah. We actually bought the assets as opposed to the company
Yeah,
itself, just for
yeah,
liability reasons. It was a little simpler. I
sure,
already knew all the clients, which was what we were purchasing as well. So I didn't really need to buy, you know, to keep the name Globus to have the
got it.
contacts with the clients. So the asset
Okay,
purchase was a much cleaner way to go at the time.
yeah.
Yeah.
And what did the company look like at that time? How many machines or people?
Well, yeah, it probably looked like something out of the 70s, with a little
Okay,
bit of modernization thrown in. We had
okay,
some very old Matsuras, old red machines, if anyone
yep.
has ever seen those.
I used to run one of those in the '90s.
And we had some very old lathes, and we had Nakamura lathes. They were great. They were really, really
Oh, nice.
stable, but
Yeah.
uh, quite aged. And we had some Haas mills. So
Okay.
in total, we moved maybe about 6 machines from the old location to the new location, and that would have
Okay. So
been
you moved as well after you
yeah,
bought
we
it,
had to do a move
or
right
as part
away.
of that.
That's right,
Got it.
that's right.
Okay. Okay.
So, we took the opportunity when we did that move to find, a facility that fit us very well. Before we moved in, we did all the electrical drops with quick connects. We went and had a high build epoxy floor put down, and so we,
Oh, nice.
really built out the shop the way that we envisioned it looking like, which was really nice to start. Super clean, super well laid out, and a very nice launch from where we were. So it's quite a shift. If you walk through the old company and you walk through the new one, they felt very, very different.
Nice. Yeah, I'm sure bright lighting, clean floors, new fresh layout. That's all. It's a great start. How
Yeah,
many people came with you?
yeah, 3 people at the time, and I
3.
was one of
Okay,
them. So,
including you and 2 others.
yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
So, from the ground floor.
Yeah.
Okay. And just curiosity, how did you structure that deal? Was it, did you have the money to buy him out, or was it like a note that you paid out over time?
So, it wasn't very much. We were able to go to the bank and get a small operating line,
Oh,
and,
nice. Okay.
it ended up being a very, very small amount we were able to give them, and, really the cost was in the move. That was the most expensive part of the whole deal.
Okay, you did get a good deal then.
We did,
That's
and
that's
I guess
nice.
because of the environment in Ottawa, we had gone through the bust of the high tech era in 2000,
Mhm.
and it really had been a grind since then. We 2008, we had the global um, credit crunch,
Yeah, I
and
remember that
so
one well.
you remember that one well. So
Mhm.
it had been a rough go. So we weren't we weren't buying a shop um, that was deeply profitable, and we had to pay multiples of EBITDA. You know,
Got it.
it was almost a handshake deal.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So then you're in a new facility, bright lights, clean floors. What are your next moves at that point?
Well, that's a good question. Um, when I started this Archer Precision, I had a bit of a vision that we wanted. I had worked in manufacturing for a few years, and one of the main problems that I saw in manufacturing was that machine shops tended to act like a black box. A client would issue a purchase order. The purchase order might be acknowledged, and then like nothing for
Yeah.
4 weeks, 6 weeks, and the client is expecting a delivery on a certain date. That date may come and go. There may be a delivery, there may not be. It starts giving me,
Yes.
hey, where are my parts? Oh, we're working on it. Da, da, da. These are the some of the frustrations on both sides of the purchasing side of manufacturing.
Yeah,
And so
that's
I
the truth.
really, really wanted to build um, a glass box, something that was transparent from both inside and outside, so that clients could see where their projects were in the manufacturing process. It would be confidence in that those dates being hit. If there was a delay, that would be discussed preferably earlier than later.
Hmm.
And and I felt that if we were able to achieve that, that would be valuable to our clients, and we would be able to be successful with that model.
Okay, so I love the model. It's brilliant, and it certainly sounds appealing to the customers. Yeah, what did you do to build that?
Well, sounds great. It's a very challenging thing to do in manufacturing, and I think you've said it before that this business is one of the hardest ones to run. Um,
Hmm.
I've never run any other business, so from a very narrow point of view, I probably have to agree with that. I'm sure other people would disagree, but this is a very challenging business to do. There are so many ways that a project can go sideways, right from purchase order issue to completion. Material
Yes.
delays. You could have personnel who might be sick, which just destroys your schedule. You could have a machine go down. You can get to the final operation and find an error in your manufacturing process. You can send it out to your finishers. Transport can scrap the parts by damaging them. Your finishers, they can finish it incorrectly. You've got to strip and redo it. There's so many opportunities for a project to drop that it's a very challenging business to actually build
Mhm.
that glass box with.
Yeah.
So one of the things
Yes.
we tackled right out of the gate is okay. We need an ERP system. We need some way to track what we're doing and how we're doing it. We've been using an Excel spreadsheet before. We looked at some of the other ERP systems out there. None of them really felt like it understood machining. It felt like it was a manufacturing software, and you could kind of you know, strong arm it into being a or a machining software, but it really wasn't geared for that.
Hmm.
So, in my naivety, I had a friend who was a software developer, and we
Okay.
started to build our own ERP system.
Well, long before vibe coding was a thing with AI.
Yes, exactly,
Yes.
exactly. Um,
Okay.
so that was the premise: is that first of all, if I'm going to be able to be the glass box, I need to be able to see what's going on in my own company
Yeah.
if I'm gonna ever expect a client to be able to see that and have confidence with it. So we started this project of building an ERP system, and I had very little appreciation for how complicated that process was, or really how
Hmm.
complicated our processes were. Being a machinist or a tool and die maker, there's so much that we do that is sort of intuitive to us. When we run
Yeah.
into a problem, we know the options that we're going to pursue to resolve that in our head. When it comes
Mhm.
to creating an ERP system that actually flows the way machinists think or tool and die makers think, or uh, the, the branches in a manufacturing process that a manufacturing company would need to take, it's a lot more complicated than I gave it credit for. And so we
Mhm.
struggled with this for probably about 4 or 5 years building this
Mm.
ERP system. And we got it to a pretty good state where we were able to run our shop with it. Um, but we weren't quite able to nail down some of the bugs. The security was an issue. Constantly trying to keep up with firmware and things like that. It was just, it was
Mm.
beyond us.
It was a local on-prem installed
It was,
server-based thing, yeah.
yes, with
Yep.
one software engineer.
Right. Was that a W-2 employee or a contractor?
His contractor was a friend. So,
Okay.
yeah, we were working back and forth on this, and it was kind of with the vision of we built this and it worked, we would be able to bring it to market
I know a company that did that. Yeah.
very well. Um, so we were
And I'm curious, was he giving you the friend rate or did you pay regular,
no, very much so.
software developer?
We were working on this together, and we weren't paying, for the hours that we were putting into it.
Okay.
Um,
Well, that's nice.
it was just energy and time, really.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Cool.
So, um, we kind of in a stage where we were starting to realize like how massive a project this is. Uh, and it was right around the fall, so I went to Chicago to IMTS. I started having a look around at the on the floor.
Would that have been the 2018 IMTS?
In the 2016, I think it was,
Okay.
and actually, that's where you and I first met.
Okay. When we had
So,
our little kiosk in the Mastercam booth.
well, you weren't even in the Mastercam booth then. You were on your own.
No, 16, we had one tiny little kiosk in Mastercam. In
Okay,
2018, we did have our own 10 by 10 booth downstairs in the
okay.
sea of other small booths.
So that was 2018 that I met
Okay.
there.
Okay.
And I remember walking by, and we had done some kind of nice things with our ERP system, with being able to have the drawing bubbled dimensions, and on the left hand
Cool.
side were the actual dimensions that correlated to those bubbles, and we had tolerancing built in, and it
Mhm.
was all tablet driven, so the employee just clicked on the feature, keyed in what the measurement was, and moved on. If it was wrong, it would flag it to QA. We had
That's
these
very
things kind of
nice.
built in.
Yeah.
And when I walked by, I saw ProShop, and and there was some very close similarities to it. And I remember you and I having a quick conversation um, about your software, and I hadn't decided which way we were going yet, whether we were going to look for something else, whether we were going to pursue this in depth. And that conversation stuck with me, partly because you were quite complimentary to what we had done, which was nice, given that
Well, it
you could
still
say,
sounds yeah, it still sounds impressive based on your description. That's not as far as most people get when they build their own ERP.
yeah, well, it is a mountain to climb, as you know better than I do
Yeah,
now.
for sure.
And I went home from the IMTS show. Really, and that was the highlight of it was meeting you and having a look at ProShop and what it could do. So over the next year or so, we really thought about where does Archer want to go, and it was pretty clear to me that if we were going to go down the software route, like I need to hire a team and really dive into this. And that was something I really wasn't looking forward to. My passion
Mhm.
is manufacturing. My passion is not software. So myself and some of the management here, we had a long talk, and we said, you know what, we probably need to talk to ProShop. Let's have a demo and see what we're in for, and let's see if that can get us closer to the vision, the dream of a glass box.
Mm, mhm.
And so that's where our journey with ProShop really started. And
Yeah, and you signed up in February of 2020,
that's right. That's right.
just a month before COVID started.
That's right. Yeah, that seems hard to believe now, but that's right.
Yeah, time flies. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that. That is a fascinating journey all the way around.
It
Um,
is. Yeah.
I guess then what happened after that? Um,
So
you obviously I forget, that early on, who do you remember who trained you on our team?
yeah, Michael,
Okay.
and
Hegwood
he
or
was
Collins?
Collins,
Okay.
and
Okay.
was it Collins or Edgewood? Now you've got me questioning that. He had guitars in his back screen. I remember having quite a few
That was
conversations.
Collins.
That was
Yeah.
Collins. Okay, I was right. So um, fantastic trainer. It was excellent. And if you talk to him now, I'm not sure if he remembers our first conversations, but we went into it again, you know, blindfolded and jumping in with both feet. And one of my first conversations to him was, Michael, like we've been building our own ERP system. We're pretty good on how these things work. Can you just give us a Cole's notes because we want to get going on this like tomorrow? And he kind of
Mhm.
chuckled and said, "No, no, like we need to we need to go through the training process." And I look back at that now and I laugh at how simplistic I thought this was. And the training process was extensive and it was very, very good. And ProShop, as my partner, business partner Rob Gauchi says, is a mile wide and a mile deep. You know,
Mhm.
there is so much there that that really, it drove home the point to me that this was the right decision. That if we were going to take our ERP system, which we call VMS, to a commercial level. Like we were 90% of the way there, and we had 10% to finish. We had done 10%, and there was 90% to go. And we really, we really made the right decision in getting out of that process and focusing on what we wanted to do, which was to build the glass box of machining.
Wow, very cool. Well, I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad you got Michael. Glad that was the way you approached it.
Excellent.
And then, so once you were live, and off your old, and I will say, some of the most challenging uh, customers to train and implement are ones that have built their own system because they have been able to make it exactly the way they want it, as opposed to something off the shelf that doesn't fit that great and they've always kind of hated it. Then they're often
Yes.
like, wow, ProShop's awesome. But yeah, when someone has like, well, my software does this and yours doesn't do that. So I'm sure there must have been some of those moments,
Yeah,
but
there
once you
were,
did
but
go live.
it's helpful understanding, really trusting the process, because there's reasons why ProShop functions the way it does. And we had jumped in our own ERP system a whole bunch of gates that we really should have had in there, even though it seemed like a roadblock or a choke point at the time. Now, when we
Mm,
see ProShop functioning and operating, we understand better. Like that's why they did it, and it was actually intelligent. And even though you might not understand why it's doing that as a user, just trust the process. It will make sense, down the road.
mm.
So kudos to you guys for building a system that did exactly that.
Yeah, well, I have to give 100% of that credit to Kelsey and Matt collectively. Kelsey for the vision of how it would work, and then Matt for building this incredibly robust architecture that allowed all the pieces to work really seamlessly together. And, obviously scale over time because they designed that initial architecture back in, 2000, 2001. And here we are 25 plus years later. Um, and that architecture is still just incredibly robust and very, um, I don't know, still modern.
Yeah,
Like,
very adapt.
yeah, yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, I'll pass along that kudos to them.
Please do.
That'll make their day. So what are some of the things that started to change, as you used the software and got more familiar with it and maybe took on more of it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the first thing that showed up was, how little we saw what was happening in our own company. Um, that became evident very, very quickly. When you start using ProShop and you start following the steps, creating the work orders and the parts, and having that flow through your shop, um, it becomes clear very quickly uh, how how uncontrolled some of the processes you thought were locked down actually are, and how much you're relying on institutional knowledge, on guys on the floor just doing the right thing and kind of making it work. So that was a bit of an eye opener for sure. And I remember having a conversation with one of the follow up training processes where the trainer was saying, "Okay, well, how good is your time tracking?" I'm like, "It's fantastic. It's great." It's like, "Okay, well, let's just run one little report real quick and do this. Click, click, click. Here you go. Ooh, your time tracking is pretty questionable." So, there was a lot of moments of that. We use
Mm,
10% of the software. We think we've really got it nailed down. We open the door and we realize, oh, we're missing huge chunks of it that we need to be implementing. We need to be more disciplined on. We need to follow up on. Uh, so it's been one steep learning curve after the other of nailing down one module, nailing down one process, and then diving into the next one that has been neglected or hasn't been followed up on or guys haven't been properly trained on.
mhm. So it's one thing to, to use the software completely, and I'll put that in air quotes. Um, It's another to have results that benefit your business. Like, just
Yeah.
because something is there and you fill out the boxes and you do the things doesn't necessarily equal goodness. Can you maybe describe a little bit of what happened as you started to use it more completely and
Yeah.
in the results of the business, throughput or profitability or visibility or whatever it might be?
Well, I think, those are the things you've just mentioned are the results of proper execution on ProShop, on the ProShop side of things. I think one of the first things we saw is a much better tracking of parts moving through the shop floor so that we could open up a job or work order and we could see exactly how many parts we started with, how many parts we finished with, what happened to those parts during the run, who touched them, um, and being able to, at a click of the button, really be able to generate meaningful reports for our clients, including in-process inspection reports, including finals, including material certs, all those things that we were getting more and more disciplined on
Mm,
as it came through the chain at the very end, being able to very quickly package that up into a concise QA documentation and send it to our clients, whether digitally, whether printed. That was one of the big game changes for us. Clients would call up and say, "Hey, I know we didn't ask for this, but could you send us, IPCs on, a run of parts you sent us 2 shipments ago?" Like, yeah, no problem. Click, 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 click. Here you go. You'll have
right,
it in 10 minutes. And that was a
right.
really big game changer for us. That was really nice. You're not going through filing cabinets or,
Sure.
trying to find an Excel spreadsheet or something like that. You know,
Now, maybe explain a little more on that because you had said that your software did inspection.
it did.
Was it not? Did it not output it in a way that made it easy to send to a customer?
Well, we could output it into a into an Excel file or another format, but it wasn't something that was meaningful to the client. Then we have to take
Okay,
that in and translate it into an AS9100 form, or we have to
got it.
repopulate one of their forms or something like that. And so, yes, you could do it, but it meant our QA team sitting down, pulling all the data, re-entering it into something that worked for the client, and then sending it to
Mm,
them.
okay.
On top of that, we didn't have things like um, like process complete, which you have in ProShop when you've completed an operation and it's signed off on. So you go back into an operation, you realize, oh, someone's kind of missed their IPCs here. Yeah, this is going to be awkward,
Right.
right?
Sure, sure.
So we were missing some of those pieces um, that made it challenging to do that on a consistent basis to our clients.
Okay. And can you share your journey with getting those certifications that you hold today?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Was yeah, in what dates and times and what was happening with ProShop or your old
You're really
software?
going to test my memory now. So we got ISO 9001 pretty quickly, which is a fairly straightforward um, certification to be able to get. We were doing it on VMS despite the holes that we had in our software. So we were able to do that. ProShop just made that much, much easier. Once we had ProShop, then we really ran after our AS9100. So
Okay.
I believe it was in 2000s, it's 2020 that we were going for AS9100. And
Oh,
one of the beautiful
by later in the year,
Yeah,
in
and one of the
2020?
beautiful
Okay.
things was that everything is hyperlinked, right?
Right.
So once it was evident that we didn't even really need to have an auditor come in unless they were gonna audit the shop floor. They could say, "Send us your quality manual." No problem. Click, click, click. Here you go. Jump on a Zoom call, show me this process, show me this document, and everything's
Mhm.
hyperlinked. So you just
Right.
really, really easy to go through and comply with those document requests that they ask for. And
So
that
did
made
you
that whole
did
process much easier because many of the machine companies that they deal with, they'll ask for a record. And we used to do this at our old company. We're like, "Oh, hold on a second, we'll have to go get that for you." And that would
Mhm.
drag out into hours of you'd have like multiple people running through the company looking for this and looking for that or
Mm,
scrambling for
mhm.
this, and our audits now are actually finished ahead of time always because they're not waiting for documentation. It's just a click.
Um Yeah. So did you build those hyperlinks or did you get our Flying Start package?
We got your flying start package, which was brilliant. It was excellent for that.
Yeah, great,
So
great.
one of the things we did, then we went after our medical. And one
Okay.
of the things we did is we're like, okay, well, how are we going to run a medical cert, a AS9100 cert, um, and our regular standard ISO requirements? How do we make it so that the requirements are visible in ProShop? So anyone who's reading it might read a procedure or process and know that this applies to aerospace, this applies to medical, without creating like three different instances of ProShop or anything like that.
Mhm.
So Eugene, our compliance officer, he came up with a bright idea. I'll go in and any of the processes or procedures that have a feature that's unique to any one of those certifications, we will change the font. So if it's
Mm.
AS9100 is bold, and if it's
Yeah.
ISO 1345, our medical cert, it's italicized. So you can read
Nice.
through any of them. And if we're being audited for medical, you can say, by the way, this is the part that actually applies that doesn't apply to your other one. And if you're being audited by the aerospace guys, here's your bold text. This is the one that applies, and here's how demonstration that we're complying with that. So we were able to work the system very nicely
Mhm.
to meet all those standards.
Very cool. And then you, of course, so you built did you build the, 1345 standard into the standards module? And then
Yes, we did. We did that. We
okay,
have, again, Eugene is a huge asset for us here. Where he's able to
nice.
do all the mining on that, figure out what applies to us and how we're going to integrate it into our system, and that worked very well.
Yeah, okay. And that's candidly, I think that's basically what we do today because we offer combined Flying Start packages that are medical and aerospace, and I mean, because I know years ago we had, like, AS was bold and regular ISO was non-bold, so, yeah, very similar thinking, and yeah, it does work well when you have but you at the end, you have this sort of interlinking network of hyperlinks from different standards into the procedures and tasks that show the proof. Um, and yeah, the hyperlinking is just what makes it so much simpler than just
Yeah,
having tables and other reference tables you got to go look up.
I can't imagine trying to operate without it now. It'd be a train wreck. So it's very much what our company is built on
That's
is the
awesome.
Pro Shop software.
Oh, amazing. So that sort of maybe brings a question to my mind that some of our early customers that even thought they ran their companies quite well said to us, ProShop sort of gave me a new operating system for a much more robust and efficient way, which aren't always sometimes robust and efficient don't go together because it gets complicated. Um, Robust could equal complicated. But they've given us an operating system to, run our business more effectively than we did prior. Do you have any sense if that was true
Oh,
for
yeah,
you as well?
absolutely. Yeah. It's night and day. The different we wouldn't be able to to meet the different standards that we're doing to handle the diversity in the clients that we handle on our old system. It would have been, we would have had to have way more overhead, more people managing different projects. Uh,
Hmm.
it just wouldn't be possible. It'd be an absolute train wreck. And you spend all day chasing records. So, which you're not getting paid for, right?
No,
Uh,
yeah, customers don't want to pay for that,
no one
for
wants to
sure.
pay for that. That's right. So,
Uh,
absolutely, it was a game changer for us. It more in the sense that we didn't realize how much of a game changer it was going to be down the road. At the time, it was, "Oh, this is better than what we are currently doing. Let's do that." Um, and it'll be much like any other software that we had bought, and we'll kinda like it, but we'll begrudgingly, carry on. But, um, it's the one software in the company that I love.
you
And
love, all right. There's that word. I didn't even prompt you for it. Loveyouerp.com. Go check it out right now. Um, yeah, it's I know often with new products that we buy, there's like a honeymoon phase after we buy it, and then we realize it wasn't as great as as it was sold to us, and it kind of diminishes over time. And I appreciate you sharing that it got better over time, and maybe reinforced that you made the right decision, and you're getting more value than you originally thought you would, which is
This is what a good marriage should look like. That as time
yes.
goes on, you appreciate your spouse more. That's the way it is with the pro shop, man. Every day it's like, "Oh, wow, this is great." So,
That's I'm gonna remind my wife tonight how much I appreciate her more than I did 20 years ago. So,
yes.
that's awesome. Uh, um, so if you could go back in time, because ProShop wasn't on the market in 2011 or 2012, so, I guess, yeah, you couldn't have bought it if you'd wanted to, but,
No, and, to be fair, if we hadn't gone through building our own, um, I wouldn't appreciate what we have now. I think having gone through that challenge makes you appreciate more what you do have in a good ERP system. So it's not bad. I think it's a good learning experience. If
mhm,
someone out there is a fairly new shop, the sooner someone gets onto to pro shop, the better. Absolutely. Um, and it can seem maybe daunting when you're at, let's say, lesson 5 of
mhm.
pro shop integration. But if you stick with it, man, you'll thank yourself 2 years down the road. It'll be you have a lot less gray hairs than I do, and probably a lot less stress load.
Yeah. We were just at an event last week called the Summit on the Summit. It was put
Hmm.
on by a company called Toolpath, and it was actually a skiing event, but in the evenings and afternoon times, sessions and workshops and things like that. Super fun. But I led a panel, and one of the panel members was a guy named CJ Abraham from PPD, Precision Product Development, and he is one of our arguably most famous and most successful one man machine shops that runs ProShop religiously, AS9100 certified, for many years now.
Wow.
Just incredible company, very high volume, high spindle utilization in the 90 way 99
Oh,
plus percentile kind of thing.
wow.
It's pretty impressive. The machines he's chosen, and even just the types of ways that he loads them, and it's next level. It's it's really impressive. But he's a one man show running Pro Shop and has for years. And
Wow.
when we got on the topic of hiring like what key employee did you hire that really unlocked the growth of the business, and he was just, and I almost said, I'm like, CJ, I'm just going to skip you on this question because I know you don't have anybody. And he's like, I would like to answer it actually. And he's like, ProShop is my best employee I've ever hired because I don't need to hire two or three other people to manage all the things that
Yes.
ProShop does for me.
It's excellent at that. Yeah. The amount of overhead that we would have to service the industries we service would be much greater than what we do if we didn't have pro shop.
Could you, how many people would you estimate you would need if you were still running your old software?
Oh, at least 2 more,
Okay.
so would that work out to $150,000 a year in salary,
Right.
combined?
Right.
So it's a significant
Yeah.
savings, absolutely. And that doesn't take into account um, the process streamlining that we have on the floor and how much time and money we save there with scheduling properly, with um, tracking material and not hunting for the next job. All this, all this is it's hard to quantify um, because we weren't really running full speed previously. We've continued to
Mm-hmm.
grow, so it's not an apples to apples comparison, unfortunately. So it's tough to give like, well, we're 50% more efficient or we're 100% more efficient. It's really
Right.
we wouldn't be able to do it if we didn't have pro shop. It's not a question of how far off we would be. We just wouldn't be able to be. We wouldn't be able to.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Okay. All right. s- sometimes we hear from people that, and this is probably more true when they're maybe just working off of spreadsheets or working off of a different software they chose that really was not a great fit. And it's maybe causing more troubles than it solved, and or still leaving lots of firefighting, lots of running around, lots of, emergencies because they didn't have the right tool, or, and we, of course, for those listening that don't know, like, we have systems to help manage, make sure you have the right tools, make sure you have the thread gauge you need, and and because of that stressful environment, like, that weighs on their culture, and people are sort of more on edge, and they might be more easily to snap at each other, and it took a few years into starting the software company. you know Keep in mind, the only place that Kelsey and I ever worked was our own shop. We had no experience ever working in another machine shop, so we didn't really know what it was like in other places. But we did have people say occasionally, they're like, given how smooth things run now and how much less stress there is and how much less firefighting there is, like, people are nicer to each other, and they enjoy their job more, and it's actually changed the culture.
Yeah,
Is there any element of that that is true at your shop?
absolutely, there is. Yes, we still do a bit of firefighting, and
Every shop will, no matter what. It's the nature of
more
the
than we would
business.
like. The interesting thing is, though, that whenever we do have a problem, you know, we track it back to, well, we probably didn't do this right on the ERP side first. If we
Mm,
had done this right on ProShop, if we had used the tools the way they were meant to be used, if we had followed the processes that we should have been and try our best to do, we wouldn't be in this particular battle today. And that can be anything from, like you said, tools. Is your tool list properly filled out? Are people using it? Um, your setups, is that properly documented? Guys know where to go to get that information. Um, Everything down to packing apart. One of the things we try to do as much as possible is send the completed components to the client the same way every time. That means the same box, that means the
mhm.
same label in the same spot, consistency throughout.
I love it. I love it.
And when we don't do that, it's inevitably, well, is it in ProShop? Is the question that comes up. And if there's a problem, it's usually because, well, it's not in ProShop. And if it had been in ProShop, now we have a training issue, maybe. But but the first step is it in ProShop? Is it set up properly? Have we documented which box we're using, the supplier, and the inventory count? Right. If we haven't done that, well, we set our guys up for failure. So that's on us. That's not on them. You know,
Mhm.
we own that. Um, and I would say the majority of issues come down to uh, have we set it up properly in ProShop, and that's where the issue
Yeah.
is.
I love that thinking, and I firmly am a believer of, if something goes wrong, analyze the system. Was it a system failure, not a personnel failure? And it's
Yeah,
almost always the system.
that's right. I
Um,
mean, our employees, none of them show up to work in the morning and say, "Hey, I really want to screw something up bad today."
of
No one
course they
does that,
don't.
right? But it is a human tendency when something goes wrong is to say, "This is a character flaw in so and so, in Jim, in Bob, whatever it happens to be," right? That's a, a gut natural reaction, and that's not fair. That's not accurate. And as a machinist who used to be on the floor, I need to remind myself that I never felt that way when I screwed up. It wasn't like, serves them right. That was never the sentiment. So
Mhm.
um, that human reaction needs to be checked and
Yeah.
needs to be controlled. And when we do the actual analysis of what happened, it's usually uh, it's usually we haven't set it up correctly in Photoshop. And if we had done so, this wouldn't have happened.
Mm-hmm. So, do you make extensive use of photos, like like packaging, for example, or
Absolutely.
you have the actual box and the pack and the bubble bags on the bomb, or maybe share how you make sure that goes smoothly and identically every time.
Yep, we'll have the box on in the BOM, the exact box number, the supplier, the cost. And put lead times in there, everything you need. We'll have a photo at the part level. This is how it's supposed to be packed, whether we're wrapping it in foam and putting it into a box, whether it's just going into a box. Some of our clients need to have an oil spray on it and then sealed. You know,
Hmm.
that whole process is documented. Here's the spray that we use. Here's where it's kept. Um, an inventory on that. So when you're down to your last spray bottle, you order more, right? All of those things are documented so that uh, the goal is each employee has everything they need to do their job available with a click
Hmm.
of a mouse. No one
Oh
wants to have
man.
to come into work and say, my employer has given me a job to do, but I am uncertain of how to do it. That's that's the worst feeling ever. And machinists, maybe in particular, they feel very, very confident, very uh, satisfied when you give them a job to do and they know exactly how they're going to do it.
Hmm.
There's no better feeling from a machinist point of view of saying, "Thank you. I like doing that job because I know exactly where the tools are. I know they're going to be preset and coming out to me. I know the program is nailed down. I know how to deburr it. I know how to package it." That's uh, that's a recipe for success, and that's how your employees thrive. Really, you set them up for success
Oh
by
man.
doing that.
God, I love this so much. This is so good. Um, you're spot on, and it is a as a soapbox I get on all the time that when you enable your machinists or your inspectors or anyone to literally focus on the part of the job they love the most, that the reason they got into that career, and not have them deal with just the crap of not knowing what to do or searching for paper or getting confused about something and making a mistake that they feel bad about, like, that helps them have more job satisfaction, and that helps with retention, that helps with throughput, that helps with everything.
That's right.
But it's
Abs-
up to the company to build it, and I tell, because there's plenty of pro shop customers out there that are not putting the oil spray on the bomb, and they aren't putting the bubble bag on the bomb, and they're not having a picture of exactly how they want it to be done every time, which I agree the customer totally appreciates. That's why McDonald's is so successful. Um, but you're doing that. You're using the tool effectively to get the outcome that, ultimately, like, this comes back to, like, your glass house thing. Like, you're giving that transparency and that consistent experience to your customer, that if you do work with us, you know what to expect. You're going to get it every time. There's no black box. There's no,
yes,
it's, yeah. So
and
I
not just our
just,
clients, but our employees should feel the same way our clients do. Right? That they come in, it's not a black box. Their only question to us is, where should I be able to find this in ProShop? That would be what success would look like for us. Is when our people come to us and say, "I'm not sure where to find this piece of information in ProShop." Not, how do I do this on the machine? Right? How do I
mhm,
solve this problem? Where is this particular piece of equipment or box or tool? That's what
mm,
that's what success will look like for us. And it's a journey. It's not something you do overnight. It takes time and humility to follow that process and work the problem. But
yeah,
it's really rewarding when you see a job flow through the shop that has all the pieces in ProShop and uh, and it's a secure process. It's fantastic.
super cool. So I'm curious to ask maybe about some of the modules or features. So are you using the tooling module?
Yes, we haven't been using it in the past, but the last year we've really well, I should say that. The last 4 years, we've been putting more and more and more effort into it.
Okay.
We had loaded all the tools in probably 4 years ago, and
Mhm.
that was great. Uh, but loading the tools into it is a start, right?
Yeah,
You need to make sure that it's something usable for your programming department. Um,
sure.
and once you do that, you realize, well, hold on, that's only really half the picture. You really need to have the holders in there
Yep.
too, so that your programming department can pick a tool, pick a holder, put the two together, and not leave that up to your machinist to decide what holder am I putting it in. You know, Is the size of the collar big enough? Maybe it is, maybe it's not, right? Like all these things that are maybe intuitive to the machinist. Again, it slows us down. So
Mm-hmm.
we are in the process now of getting our tooling, our tool holding into it as well, and then marrying the programming tooling tool holders together so that it can come from our tool setting room, which is again just being set up to go
Yeah.
to the floor and be primed and prepped, ready for the next
Nice.
job. We do not want our machinists running around the floor saying, "Where's my 3/4 inch end mill? I swear I had it here yesterday."
Yep. Yep.
Right?
For sure.
That is no one is paying for that either, I guarantee you.
Yeah. And
So,
they don't enjoy it either. So there's
no,
no
it just
reason to make them
it's
do
like
it.
having a messy room, right? If you walk into a room and you can't see a clear path of where you wanna get to, there's an inherent level of anxiety that climbs. Even if we
Mm-hmm.
don't realize why we're frustrated and we think we know the shop really, really well, having having a clean workspace reduces that anxiety on the employee, whether they realize it or not. And the same thing applies for information. So whether it's a physical space or the imagined space of what path do I take to get tool X, it's the same thing. And if there's clutter on either side of those two conversations, then you're going to have anxiety building up. And that's like you say, you get short tempers, you get people pointing fingers, and it's not great for culture.
Hmm. Man, I love it. Um, so that means you're starting to use the RTA module, and then you kind of inherently said, although you didn't say it, using the pre-processing checklist system.
We do that as well. We're just doing it better,
Yeah.
you know, making sure that all the pieces that we want are there as opposed to maybe just the bare minimum,
Mm-hmm.
has it been programmed? Great. Well, that's the basics. It's not, that's the very minimum that someone would do.
Mm-hmm.
But really a review of that. Is it ready for the machine it's scheduled for, including posting,
Mm,
including tooling, including holders, including work fixturing, all of that. That's a much more full picture, which we are building out now. I wish we
nice.
had done that at the beginning, but
You can only drink so much from the fire hose
it
at
is
the
the fire
beginning.
hose.
So, well, that makes me wonder then, are you using the multiple routing feature
Yes,
to
we do.
have different fixtures or different tool lists for different routings?
Again, very similar. We had set up the multiple routing, which is fantastic. It's really, really good. Um, but we hadn't been using it to its full capacity. We hadn't had the different tooling set up or the different work holding set up, or you know, even posting the program ahead of time. We hadn't had that set up. So we are working on getting that full package complete for the different routings that need to happen based on availability of machine capacity.
Hmm. And are you starting to see the benefits of having those more completely filled out? That
Absolutely.
you make a last decision and it goes more smoothly, or what have
Absolutely.
you?
Yeah. A project that has been properly planned out will absolutely go much, much smoother on the floor than one that has not been. It's almost like renovations at home. If you take your time and you build your wall correctly, and you take your time with your drywall, and you take your time with your baseboards, the finishing is much, much quicker. But if you
Mm.
slap your wall together and your drywall together, you're going to spend all that time that you think you're saving with a caulking gun at the
Mhm.
end, right? And it's no different in manufacturing. You can spend the time at the front, or you can spend twice as much time at the back. You've heard the saying, why is there never enough time to make it right the first time, but there's always enough time to make it over? Yeah,
Yep,
that's
yep.
a tough habit for shops to kick, um, but it's one we're getting better and better at.
Mm, amazing, awesome. Um, okay, gosh. Well, actually, maybe here's a question. So you serve the defense industry. Tell me a little bit about, your CMMC journey.
Yeah, CMMC. That's a fun one. It's a little bit more challenging for us because we're in Canada, and this is
Yeah,
really primarily a US initiative. So
sure.
there are some hoops to jump through for a Canadian company applying for CMMC, especially level 2. Level 1, no problem, we passed that. That's an easy standard to meet. We are mid-process right now on CMMC level 2,
Okay.
and, uh, you know, ProShop is a huge help in that, uh, but we're also working with BDC Canada, which is fantastic for, helping businesses, meet that requirement. So we have
What is that agency or department or what?
BDC is
Uh,
Business Development Canada. So their mandate is to help businesses, small and medium-sized businesses, to be able to enter the military manufacturing. There's a specific focus on that right now. They're
oh,
there to
okay.
help, through all different times and different stages with a different focus on different industries. But right now, it's a pretty heavy focus on military readiness. So if you are a
Mhm.
manufacturing company and you haven't been in military manufacturing in Canada and you are looking at getting into it, uh, call to BDC would be what I would recommend is one of the first calls you should make, um,
Awesome.
because they have
Okay.
a real good roadmap on how they can support you through that journey, whether it's controlled goods, which is our security initial security level here at Canada, and then CMMC, both level 1 and level
Mhm.
2, and the different requirements that are there.
Okay. Do you have an audit on the books in the future?
Not yet. We're still working that, but we would like to have one scheduled for the fall. I
Okay.
think that the tentative date everyone's looking at is November, right?
Yeah. It's
We'll see.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Um, but we are our goal is to be ready by September.
Okay. Have you been going to any of our, CMMC webinars in the last few weeks?
Some of my team have been,
Okay.
certainly my compliance officer, Eugene, and Aaron,
Got it.
my customer service manager, they've been in on those, and that's been
Nice.
quite helpful.
Yeah, yeah. So have you done something like, have you already configured two-factor and use YubiKeys to log in and done some of those initial settings in ProShop?
We haven't done the two-factor authentication yet. That is on the books.
Got it.
BDC is really wrapping up the gap assessment of where we are right now. We've
Mhm.
completed maybe a third of the requirements on CMMC level 2 ourselves.
Got it.
So they wanted us to pause, do a gap analysis, and then they'll work with us to complete the rest of them because they don't want us chasing down roads that we're just going to have to backtrack later because we don't know the standard very well or we make the wrong choice.
Yeah.
So that conversation is happening right now, and then they'll be engaged to help us get there, as well as working with ProShop and understanding that software better as well.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, maybe for if you hadn't, obviously hadn't seen it yourself, um, of the 110 controls, assuming that, and I'm sure you know very well that we're working very hard on getting our FedRAMP moderate equivalency, which is a requirement for any CSP. But once we're at that stage, which should be June, July timeframe, of the 110 controls, 41 of them are completely handled by us and AWS together. You don't have to do anything with them. 52 of them are shared between you and us, and only 17 of them are fully controlled by you. So,
Brilliant.
yeah. So we're really hoping that makes that cost, that complexity, just much much more doable, much more achievable. Because I know that there will be companies like yours that only do a small amount of defense, and they just decide to get out of it entirely because it's not worth
Yes,
the money, and that's not what we need right now. We need more companies getting into it and supporting, the infrastructure.
absolutely. So
So
that conversation will be the next one we have with BDC once they've completed the gap analysis. It'll be
got it.
here's ProShop, here's how they're meeting these requirements. Now, what can we focus on that's on us or shared, as we say.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. Awesome. Well, Alex, is there anything let me just see. I was going to say, is there anything that I haven't asked you that you would love to talk about?
Well, I would say this that um, when we started the conversation, I kind of painted the picture of what we were trying to build, which is a glass box of manufacturing.
Yeah.
One of the questions might be, well, how's that going?
Yeah. Great
um,
question.
mm, it's a it's a challenge. We're not where we want to be yet. Every day we make progress on that. Um, one of the questions that or comments that keeps coming up is, well, are you sure you want to share all that information with your clients? So one of the
Mhm.
principles that we operate under, or I certainly try to preach as much as possible, is that the problems of transparency, and there are problems with transparency, are better than the problems of blindness.
Mm.
And you kind of have to believe that, even though the problems of transparency are very painful at the start.
Mm.
It
Mhm.
seems much, much better to kick that problem 2 months down the road.
Right.
But if you buy into that, it will yield dividends down the road. So, we are still a little ways away from having that complete transparency and consistency, but we are working on that, and we're really looking forward to ProShop um, being fully integrated into our system and our culture, which I suspect will probably take another year or two just for our team to become masters at each stage. It's such a massive software. I'll also say that, from a machining company's or manufacturing company's perspective, you really can't underestimate the value of the relationships that you build with your suppliers. And there's two that really jump out to Archer for sure. ProShop is number one. That's massive. Is how much it's changed uh, our trajectory at our company. The second one, is our machine tool supplier. You're
Mm.
from
Mhm.
Canada, so you're probably familiar with Elliott Matzera.
Mhm.
They're out of Toronto, and they're another supplier that we wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for them. Uh, if you're a Canadian company and you're looking for somewhere to purchase machine tools, Elliott has been a partner that has gone above and beyond what you would reasonably expect from any of your suppliers. And so, it's one of the things that getting into the business I really underestimated the importance of the relationship with your
Mm.
suppliers.
Mhm.
And really that should go both ways, right? You want that closeness with your clients to
Yeah.
they see you as a partner. And so it really holds true that how you do one thing is how you do everything. So,
Mhm.
you know, that partnership relationship should span both sides of the business, both your clients and your suppliers. Picking the right one is incredibly important, and we've been very fortunate with the suppliers we have.
Mm. Well, thank you for those kind words. And yeah, I mean, I don't know, your direct, distributor of machine tools personally myself, but I certainly know of the reputation of Metsura machines, and they are just incredible.
They're incredible.
It's
Yeah, we
yeah,
have
many
3 of the
clients
point of
with them,
access
and they.
mills, and one of them
Mm-hmm.
is a 32 pallet machine, and that thing will
Nice.
run we'll get like 6,500 hours of runtime a year on that machine, and,
Yeah.
if you set up, man, that thing will go. It'll carry it'll carry, like 30% of our machining capacity in our shop.
On one
It's
machine.
unbelievable.
That's
Yeah.
very cool. Awesome. All right. Well, one last thing. Just want to punctuate what you probably already said. Well, I know you already said before, but it's the last question on my list, and you kind of already covered it. But if you can imagine what your shop would look like today if you didn't use ProShop, what would it look like?
Well, it probably more closely resemble the traditional 1970s machine shop with, where you walk in, there's probably no, clear, organization on the floor. There's stuff everywhere. You don't know where one job is. It would be chaos. Even just something simple like a paper traveler. Um, we don't have any of those. It's completely digital, right? And when you walk into another shop and you look around and say, "Oh, here's a traveler sitting on a bench. There's no parts here. Where are the parts?"
Hmm. Yeah.
Or there's parts and there's no traveler. Well, Joe went to go change something in the program and he walked off with the traveler. He left it in programming or he left it in QA. That's what we would look like. We would,
Yeah.
or we'd be pulling our hair out with our own cobbled together ERP system. So um, I shudder to think what we would look like. Just I know that we wouldn't be able to build what we're trying to build without ProShop.
Mm. Okay, well, it's a true honor to help you build that. People like you with a clear and amazing vision of what you want to build and probably why you want to build it. That is that is very virtuous in our economy and your community, and that is something we want to support all day long. So, thanks for giving us the opportunity to do that with you, Alex.
Thank you very much for the time to have a conversation. This has been great.
Yeah. So if people want to learn more, if they want to help load up more hours of your spindle time or just connect with you or ask questions, where would you direct them?
You can go to our website, it's archerprecision.ca. You can even email me directly at alex@archerprecision.ca. The .ca thing is the thing to highlight.
To remember.
Be tempted to
It's
go .com, but that won't work. So .ca, and
okay.
or you can connect with me on LinkedIn. Um, Happy to have a conversation with anyone, whether it's a potential client or whether it's someone else who's getting into the machining industry. Happy to have conversations. It's a great industry to be in, and people who are passionate about it are fun to talk to.
Yeah, that is the truth. Well, thanks for paying it forward to those that might want to reach out.
Absolutely.
Well, Alex, yeah, thank you again for everything today. Really appreciate it. Yeah, and for those listening today, Alex, I think is a great example of someone with a clear vision, a really systematic way to get there, and just doing a lot of the right things to make that happen. So, I hope you were as inspired today as I was. Thanks,
Thank you very
Alex.
much,
Have a
Paul.
good one.
Appreciate it. Talk to you soon.
Wow, I hoped you guys enjoyed that episode. And now I have a special treat. I hit record again after we hung up or after we stopped recording, and Alex just started riffing on something that was really important as we were not recording. And I paused him and I said, "Hey, can you let me hit record and you just say that part again because it's something I think that everyone needs to hear." So enjoy this extra bonus segment to this episode. We get into some fun stuff. It's longer than I thought it would be, but it's worth absolutely every minute of it, especially the workforce development section. So anyway, thanks for listening. Enjoy the section. We'll see you when the show is over.
Okay. So, yeah, we were talking about about some of the challenges in our industry. And when I started, you know, reading that book, The E Myth, it lays out my journey exactly. I was the technician who could run a machine, who could set it up, who got pretty quick at setting it up and troubleshooting, understood, how things should be made. Look around your company like, probably do this better than how it's actually going. And that's when I started Archer. And I put my nose to the grindstone and I just worked like 18 hours a day. I I didn't think of anything but machining. It was pretty hard on a family. I had one small child and it was busy. And that's a common s- origin story for many machining companies. They're often started by someone who takes on that Superman role, who just shoulders a massive burden and just drives it until they run out of energy, steam, or get jaded. Any one of these things. And I did that for quite a while. It's not healthy. It's not sustainable, but
Hmm.
it's a common trait in our industry. And maybe shops almost have to start that way. I don't know. That's how it worked for me. But when you get to the point where you realize that I can't keep doing this, like this is not sustainable. There's only so much I can do, and there are people around in Ottawa who have a greater capacity than I do for supermaning it. They're smarter than I am. They're harder working. They're willing to burn every relationship in the book that they have to get where they're going. That wasn't me, and they can carry it on longer. Absolutely, they can. But all of us have an egg timer on our life, right? And the sand's trickling. And sooner or later, you're going to get to the point where you say, okay, I have to sell my company. I have to shut it down or find someone to run it for me because I cannot keep doing what I'm doing. And so,
Hmm.
um, you know, I'm glad that I'm transitioning out of that early. I don't want
Hmm.
to get to 65 or 70 and be in that position. I want to get to the point by 50 where I am the least important person in my company that, you know,
Yes.
um, I have people in place that have responsibilities that they love shouldering, and they do an excellent job at it, and they rely on each other to do that. And the last person they pick up the phone and call is me, um, because I probably won't have the best solution for the problem. They
Yeah.
will. They're in the
Yeah.
trenches every day. They know exactly what the problem is intimately. And so that's, you know, I wish that our industry was was more eager to progress down that road rather than trying to Superman everything through. Look for
Mhm.
tools to support you, ProShop. Look for suppliers to support you, your training team or machine tool salesman, and work those relationships because that's so important to being successful and still enjoying life and enjoying the
Yeah.
manufacturing process. So
Well, yeah, that's I'm glad we captured that. That is I know that will resonate with so many people out there that are doing that Superman role right now and have done it for years and don't know a better way. Um
yeah,
and and I know ProShop's just been one part of that tool set for you. It's by no means the only thing, but I'm
it's been the
super
biggest.
glad
It's
it's been the
absolutely been the biggest because I was just doing the
okay.
same thing with our ERP system, right? I was just going to
Hmm.
Superman this thing through, and it's interesting because maybe as guys, in particular, I can only speak from my experience, but you know, maybe something inside of us we like to find where the limit is in what we can do. Um,
Hmm.
and in sports, that's
Yeah.
pretty prevalent, right? You see guys, we will push ourselves past the point of healthy to injury because there's something about seeing how far you can go and where the actual wall is for you. And in machine shops, you see it all the time with owners and with some superstar employees, right? They will say, "How far can I push this?" And I will grind to the breaking point to see that. Uh, but it's not really healthy. And once you get there, it's a bit of an eye opener because it's probably going to come up faster than what you think it is. That you're going to run into
Hmm.
that wall faster than you imagine, and you have a really tough choice to make. That right? Do you just try harder? It's that book, Animal Farm, right? It was the horse that his
Hmm.
motto was, "I'll work harder." Um, do you do that, or do you sit down and say, "Listen, like this company cannot be built on Alex. This is not Alex machining."
Hmm.
Right? It can't be me. It has to be a team because I'm so finite and I'm so fallible. I make so many mistakes on a daily basis. We need systems, we need processes, and we need people. And and that was it. That was an eye opener for me. And then the next few years, we're finding the right people. How do you find
Hmm.
someone who understands the vision, buys into it, sees ProShop or your ERP system, and says, "Okay, I'm going to put both feet into this canoe, and we're not going to do it if it's not in ProShop." That's and that's a hard discipline to get to as machinists, right? Because I
Yeah,
can go out
for
to the
sure.
machine and I can grab a chunk of aluminum and kind of whip something together, and probably over a weekend I can make a customer part, and that feels good, man. You bail a customer out. You say, "Here's a part. I know you guys are in a real jam, and I did it for you. Here you go. Here's your problem solved." And you walk back to your shop Monday morning, pat yourself on the back, but you've got a week ahead of you of your normal stuff. And if you've just burnt all your matches on the weekend, the rest of the week's going to suffer. Either the
Hmm.
business does or your family does. One of the two. Someone's going to pay the price
Hmm.
for that. And so, being disciplined on Pro Shop is so important. To say, listen, it will go through the process, and it might take a day longer in this particular case. But Alex isn't going to do it on the weekend. It might take a bit longer, but the client will be satisfied, and your team will be satisfied, and you won't be
Hmm.
burning matches uh, left, right, and center to get jobs done. You know,
Yeah.
um, so
Well,
yeah,
that's yeah. I mean, I think what you're describing is really the model for building an enduring legacy type of business that can survive without you and has real value
Yes,
that someone else someday will want, and it
absolutely.
won't just go to auction and you
No,
know
yeah.
be the way you bought your shop in the first place, right?
The other piece of that puzzle is people, right? And everyone in this industry cannot find qualified people. This is a massive, massive problem. So what we're
Yes.
doing as well is taking the pro shop model and putting it onto our people problem and saying, okay, what would it take to attract young people into the industry? So we are connecting with the high schools and we're meeting with the technology program leads and saying, okay, Arch Precision offers an apprenticeship for anyone who would like to sign up. And the apprenticeship isn't vague. Each year, this is what you're going to do. This is what you're going to get competent at. And then this is the compensation we're going to give. Every single year until year 4, and then year 5, you're full-fledged journeyman. You'll be able to do a full suite of skill sets with a compensation that, ideally is the best in Eastern Ontario is our goal. And when you walk through
Awesome.
Archer in 4 years, what we want our clients or our visitors to see is 2 or 3 machinists at every level that are
Hmm.
taking on more responsibility, that are learning ProShop better, that are not scrambling and running around, beads of sweat dripping from their brow, but, you know, working in front of a computer, ProShop open, um, tracking and monitoring the processes that they're doing and adding real value to the manufacturing process through process development tab that you have, right? Here's a
Hmm.
problem we're having. Here's how I think it could be solved. And here's the people that in management that I need to look at this problem so it's resolved either in this run or the next run. That's what I want my guys doing. And
Mm.
uh, that model of ProShop, the clarity, the cleanness, the hyperlinks, that needs to be reflected in the whole business, whether it's people, whether it's processes, whether it's clients, all of that needs to follow that same model of clarity, cleanness, and precision. And we're going to need to
Yeah.
do it given the demand that's coming, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We're going to have to. CTMA is a huge part of that. And maybe I'll just take 30 seconds and talk about CTMA, which is the
Yeah.
Canadian Tooling
Please.
and Machining Association. I sit on the board of that organization, and it's funded by the Skills Trade Development Fund out of Ontario, or Skills Development Fund out of Ontario. And what our organization does is in our Career Ready program is we receive funding from Ontario. 2 years ago, it was $6 million. Last year, it was $3 million. We're waiting to see how much it's going to be this year. We divide that pool in half and we go out and we buy CNC machines, Haas's or other types of affordable machines, and we put them in high schools across all of Ontario.
Amazing.
And we provide training programs for the teachers so they know how to program a part, how to machine a part, how to set up the machine, and help them build a course, sometimes multiple semesters, of a pre engineering manufacturing course in high schools. And the other
Incredible.
half we give to employers who are hiring fresh new students or upskilling their existing staff to help support the training because it's expensive for training. And we've seen just tremendous success with that program in the high schools. Most of the high schools have a wait list for young students to get into that program, to be able to learn how to program a part on Fusion 360, uh, do a tool path, put it in a machine, make a part. And then when they graduate, some of those programs have credits for the university. So if they want to go be an engineer, mechanical engineer, there's some
Hmm.
credits that apply to their mechanical engineering degree, or they're connected with manufacturing companies in the community if they want to start an apprenticeship. Hey, I'd like to start an apprenticeship tomorrow. Great. You can come work for us. You already have had a good foundation. Now we're going to show you the Archer way of how we progress through the whole education process of bringing someone into being a licensed
Mm.
machinist. So CTMA is
Wow.
fantastic for that. So if you're an Ontario shop and you really need to connect with CTMA, it's a It's very inexpensive, and the rewards and the benefits are massive. And the support we're providing to actually build a way for students to become aware of the industry, know the careers that are available in it, and how to connect with employers. It's invaluable.
Mm. God, that's so good. Right now we're doing a whole series on Making Chips podcast about, we're calling it Gen CNC, the next generation, and we're profiling some of the educational programs. And I want to have you or whoever uh, should be on that show. So yeah, we're
Absolutely.
gonna do that soon.
Be
Um,
fantastic.
do you work with mostly one high school, or do you personally work with more than one?
There's 2 or 3 around here in Ottawa that we have worked with. So,
Okay.
we're not beholden to one high school. We really try to connect with the high schools that CTMA has worked with and put machinery in, because we know that there is a program coordinator. We know that there's a teacher who has been trained. We know that there's a program the students have gone through, and that these students are interested in the trade. They they know what manufacturing is. They see a future there,
Hmm.
and it's not a cold contact. It's a very
Yeah.
warm introduction. And we'll
Right.
also meet with parents who come into the schools on career days and things like that, and say, okay, well, here's several paths for your son or your daughter who wants to get into manufacturing. It doesn't have to be machining. You can go into
Oh,
a
sure.
manufacturing company. There's quality, there's compliance, there's customer service, there's management, there's HR, there's manufacturing itself, the actual machining or programming, or there's not us at all. If you want to go work for General Dynamics or Lockheed Martin, and you have a manufacturing background and you're designing things for machining, I mean,
Hmm.
it's just a huge, huge asset to whoever is following that particular route. Um,
Mm.
Design for manufacturability is
Oh, yeah. So
such a huge
huge.
term, right?
I wish every mechanical engineer had to spend at least a year in a machine shop making
Yeah, we
parts.
have aerospace engineers coming to us who have graduated and worked for us for 2 or 3 years
Oh,
building
nice.
aerospace parts. And then they'll go work somewhere else, whether it's Safran or Boeing or Massey Gowdy or those guys. And now when they go on to those teams, they have an ability to talk to the problems of the design in a way that an engineer coming out of university really won't
Yeah,
have. Most of the engineers that
absolutely.
come to us don't even have a strong basis in GD&T,
Yeah. Yeah,
which is
that's
mind blowing. Like,
yeah, and they're making drawings with it on there.
yeah,
Um,
so
mm,
it's
man, Alex, that's such good stuff. So I'm curious, and I don't know if you know this, but we have donated ProShop to 3 different high schools in the US.
wow,
Um, that teach their machining program, like they're I mean, one of them is a student run machining business. The other two are just, machining programs, but they use ProShop to help organize their student projects, their tool database. Um,
wow.
I would love to donate it to the schools that you work with, and would it be valuable if they came out with some knowledge of how an ERP works, how to structure data, how that supports the machining process?
That would be invaluable. Can't believe I didn't think of that.
All right, we'll make that
That's
happen.
brilliant.
Oh man. All right. Well, I'm glad we hit record again. That was just wonderful. And I had a thought as you've been talking about this last section here. So I invited you onto the Manufacturing Transform podcast, which is the Pro Shop podcast, and we talk about transformation. And I think you did a great job outlining how you guys transformed Archer Precision. But but you shared so much just wisdom about how to run a manufacturing company well, irregardless of the tools that you use, that because I run both shows, I'm going to take this show and also publish it on Machine Shop Mastery,
Fantastic.
because
Very
it was
kind.
a master class in how to run a successful
Mm.
shop. And it's a little bit, hopefully people don't think of it too self-serving, but the stuff that you shared is just gold. And I thank you so much for this conversation today. And
Thanks very much, Paul. I really appreciate it. And
yeah,
these are lessons that I'm still learning. So add a touch of of a
Oh,
disclaimer there that, I'm a long way off of where I would like to be. Um, it's a
well,
journey, and you have to have
that's
quite a bit of humility in this.
I've talked about humility so many times, and that's what makes it even better. So, you're not claiming to have all the answers. You're figuring it out every day as you go along, but your vision is beautiful, and people need to understand it and be inspired by it.
Thank you very much, Paul. That was fantastic. I really enjoyed that.
Thank you so much, Alex.
Have a good afternoon.